Dr. Erickson, an experienced glaciologist, had spent years studying the icy depths of Antarctica, but one chilling day, as he stood near a massive hole in a glacier, he heard an eerie sound echoing from within. His curiosity got the better of him, and he peered into the darkness. What he saw moving deep inside the frozen abyss made his blood run cold. Dr. Erickson hesitated, but finally decided to descend into the glacier using his climbing gear. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Step by step, he lowered himself into the icy abyss. The eerie sound continued to echo, growing louder as he made his way down. He paused for a moment, listening intently. What is that, he wondered aloud. The sound seemed to come from all directions, making it hard to pinpoint its source. He landed on a narrow ledge and noticed peculiar ice formations that resembled ancient carvings. The patterns were intricate, almost like a language he couldn't understand. His flashlight revealed a narrow tunnel further along the ledge. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. Let's see what's inside. Debating whether to radio for support, he opted to explore the tunnel for any signs of movement. The thought of calling for help tugged at him, but he was too intrigued to stop now. Inside the tunnel, Dr. Erickson found remnants of what appeared to be old scientific equipment. Rusted metal fragments and glass tubes were scattered across the icy floor. He knelt down, brushing away layers of frost. These look ancient, he said, astonished. This must be decades, maybe centuries old, he thought. He examined a piece more closely, noting the intricate details. Whatever research had been conducted here, it was far ahead of its time. The implications were staggering. He photographed the equipment for documentation, feeling an inexplicable connection to the unknown scientists who had been there before. As he moved deeper, he noticed a faint, shimmering blue light emanating from within the glacier walls. The glow was mesmerizing, cutting through the darkness like a beacon. What could be causing this, he wondered. Intrigued and cautious, he inched closer, drawn toward the mysterious radiance that seemed to defy the icy environment. Could this be natural, or something more extraordinary? The question gnawed at him as he stared at the mysterious blue light. Only one way to find out, he muttered under his breath. His pulse quickened as he contemplated his next move. He decided to follow the light, even as the eerie sounds grew more intense, almost guiding him forward. Each step was deliberate, his senses on high alert. The tunnel twisted and turned, leading him deeper into the frozen labyrinth. He moved cautiously, aware that danger could lurk around every corner. News of Dr. Erickson's unexpected descent reached his research team at the base camp. Sarah, the team leader, stared at the radio in disbelief. He went in alone. Why didn't he wait for us, she exclaimed. The other team members exchanged worried glances. The situation was more serious than they had anticipated. They quickly understood the urgency and began to mobilize, each member knowing their role in the rescue operation. Communication channels were established, and they attempted to contact Dr. Erickson. Erickson, come in. Do you read me? Sarah called out, hoping for a quick response. Time was ticking, and every second mattered. The team set up communication equipment to try and establish contact with him. Antennas were raised, radios were calibrated, and satellite links were tested. Meanwhile, Dr. Erickson navigated treacherous ice pathways, finding footprints that seemed to stop abruptly. How is this possible, he wondered aloud, inspecting the prints closely. The tracks were fresh, suggesting someone else had ventured here recently. Could someone else have been there recently? He questioned. The silence around him offered no answers, only the unsettling echoes of his own inquiries. A sudden tremor caused by shifting ice nearly trapped him, but he managed to find a narrow escape route leading to a previously unknown cavern. The new cavern loomed before him, its entrance dark and foreboding. He gulped down his fear and stepped inside, driven by curiosity and a sense of impending discovery. Within the cavern, Dr. Erickson found a series of enigmatic symbols carved into the ice. They lined the walls, forming intricate patterns that seemed to tell a story. He cataloged the symbols but understood none of their meanings. His camera clicked repeatedly, capturing each mysterious carving. The sound, now more pronounced, reverberated through the cave, bouncing off the carvings. Each echo felt like a whisper from another time, almost guiding him. This is unreal, Dr. Erickson muttered, his breath visible in the cold air. The sound seemed to pulse with a life of its own, urging him forward. As he explored further, a peculiar warmth emanated from beneath the ice floor, suggesting geothermal activity below. He knelt down to feel the warmer ice, trying to comprehend its source. The discovery hinted at deeper mysteries, pushing him to dig further, even as the chilling sounds grew more haunting. Dr. Erickson's research team received satellite data showing unusual heat signatures coming from the glacier. This can't be right, Sarah said, studying the readouts. The anomaly was significant, pointing directly to Erickson's location. The team gathered around, exchanging worried glances. Has anyone communicated with him yet? Sarah asked, her concern growing. The data complicated their mission, indicating both urgency and newfound risks. They dispatched emergency climbers equipped with satellite navigation to locate and assist him. Unaware of this, Dr. Erickson continued exploring, finding remnants of what appeared to be an ancient campsite. There were signs of past human habitation, rusted cooking pots, tattered tents, and makeshift tools. Who lived here? The eerie sound persisted, drawing him deeper into the mystery. He stumbled upon old journals encased in ice, but their contents were too fragile to decipher on sight. The journals were delicate evidence of the campsite's history, each one a potential treasure trove of information, if preserved and studied correctly. Dr. Erickson decided to take the journals back for further investigation. Back in the base camp, the team deciphered the heat signature data, revealing geothermal vents potentially connected to volcanic activity beneath the glacier. Underground, Dr. Erickson found a deep crevasse partially flooded with warm, flowing water, a discovery that contradicted his years of glaciological expertise. Warm water, he questioned aloud, baffled. This isn't supposed to happen, he thought. The warm water suggested unknown geothermal activity, completely out of line with his existing research. The implications of such a shift were worrisome. If the glacier is this unstable, I have to be extremely careful, Dr. Erickson realized. The eerie sounds grew louder as warm water trickled through the cracks, creating an unsettling symphony. Dr. Erickson realized he needed to proceed with extra caution, facing unknown dangers. The eerie sounds persisted, echoing ominously through the cavern. Each creak and groan of the glacier sent shivers down his spine. Determination fueled him, driving him forward despite the constant threat. The emergency climbers finally established a communication link with Dr. Erickson, urging him to surface immediately. Erickson, this is base camp. Do you read me? Sarah's voice crackled through the radio. He paused, pulling the device from his pack. I hear you, Sarah, he responded, his voice steady but distracted. You need to come back now. The conditions are worsening, she insisted. Erickson glanced around, weighing his options. The sense of urgency in her tone was unmistakable. However, he pleaded for more time, believing he was on the cusp of a monumental discovery. Sarah, I just need a bit longer, he insisted. I know, but I'm so close, he persisted. The line crackled again, filled with a tense pause. Finally, she sighed. All right, but be careful. You have 1 hour. Understood, Erickson replied, his focus already shifting back to the icy maze. He resumed his cautious journey, aware that time was ticking. Navigating further, Dr. Erickson found a subchamber glowing with bioluminescent bacteria, a surreal, beautiful, almost otherworldly sight. What on earth, he marveled, stepping closer to the glowing walls. The light bathed the icy chamber in a soft blue hue, casting long shadows. The discovery was unlike anything he had ever seen, pushing his curiosity to new heights. Suddenly, he was attacked by a sudden rush of air and ice, indicating unstable conditions. The force nearly knocked him off his feet. Whoo! Shards of ice rained down, some narrowly missing him. The immediate danger seemed to have passed, but the instability was a growing concern. The eerie sounds persisted, filling the chamber with an unsettling hum. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, he decided to follow the sounds, intrigued by their mysterious origin. With only minutes before his time ran out, he scrambled deeper into the newly revealed subchamber. Here he found bones that appeared human but with anomalies suggesting they were ancient or perhaps not wholly human. The skeletal structure seemed off, with elongated limbs and unusual skull shapes. What kind of creatures were these, he wondered. These discoveries left him conflicted between awe and dread, contemplating if they were remnants of an unknown civilization. The possibility that an ancient, perhaps even a non-human culture had once thrived deep in this glacier piqued his curiosity and stirred fear. Could this glacier hold the key to a lost world, he wondered. The weight of his findings pressed heavily on him, urging a swift yet careful documentation. He took detailed photographs of the discoveries, meticulously capturing every angle and detail. Keep an eye on the heat markers, Sarah instructed. The team moved with precision, bridging gaps and crossing treacherous ice. At the same time, Dr. Erickson stumbled upon a preserved, possibly ancient, human figure encased in a thin layer of ice at the chamber's far end. What have we here? He whispered, approaching the figure. The eerie light illuminated the frozen visage, casting haunting shadows. Its features were serene, eyes closed as if in eternal slumber. The discovery was both intriguing and unsettling, hinting at further mysteries locked within the icy depths. The figure's attire was unlike anything he had seen, and around its neck hung a peculiar pendant. This is incredible, he thought, examining the ornament closely. Its intricate design and ancient runes suggested a significance far beyond mere decoration. Who were you? He wondered aloud, eyes fixed on the pendant. The artifact lent a sense of urgency to his quest, as if unlocking its secrets could explain the glacier's hidden history. Desperation to uncover its identity surged through him. The pendant seemed to hold the key. He felt an overwhelming urge to free it from the icy grasp. This could be my only chance, he thought. Torn between retreat and revelation, the glacier's secrets were within reach. He decided to carefully retrieve the pendant before making his escape. Finally, the pendant came free, glinting in the dim light. "Got it," Erickson said, slipping it into his pack. With the artifact secured, he turned towards the entrance, his heart racing against time. He had to get out now. In a final, frantic effort, Dr. Erickson managed to free the pendant, with ancient runes etched into its surface from the figure. The runes were peculiar, unlike any language he had ever encountered. As his rescue team reached him, he realized the figure bore a striking resemblance to himself. The ancient pendant held a microchip that, when analyzed, revealed an astonishing secret. Back at base camp, the scientists gathered around, eagerly awaiting the data. "What does it say?" Sarah asked, her voice full of anticipation. The readings from the microchip began to display on the screen. It was a message from the future, warning of the glacier's imminent collapse due to human actions. The words on the screen were clear and urgent. "If this is true, we need to act immediately," Sarah said, her eyes wide with concern. The message underscored the critical need for immediate intervention to prevent unprecedented disaster. This revelation suggested a time traveler had left the message to alter the course of history. A time traveler? Here someone murmured in disbelief. The pendant, the message, the figure resembling Dr. Erickson all pointed to a deliberate attempt to communicate across time. "We have to share this with the world," Sarah declared. The urgency of their mission intensified, knowing the future itself was at stake. Dr. Erickson knew he had to share this information for the sake of humanity's future. The realization of their role in potentially altering the future weighed heavily on them. Their goal was clear: inform the world and initiate changes to prevent ecological disaster. The rescue team, now aware of the message, quickly extracted Dr. Erickson from the glacier. "We've got you," Erickson Sarah reassured, as they guided him towards safety. Erickson felt a mix of relief and anxiety, knowing their discovery was just the beginning of a monumental task. Back at base camp, scientists began analyzing the pendant's microchip data in detail. Computers hummed and screens flickered with lines of code and deciphered messages. "We need to understand every aspect of this," one of the lead scientists urged. The team worked tirelessly, piecing together the time traveler's warning. "This data could change everything we know," Sarah remarked. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation and determination to decode the future's urgent plea for change. They released the findings to the global scientific community, urging immediate action to prevent glacier collapse. News of the discovery quickly spread, capturing the attention of scientists, policymakers, and the public. "We must act now," Erickson addressed in a virtual conference. His message was clear: the time traveler's warning could not be ignored. Urged by the compelling evidence, governments and scientists began to coordinate global efforts aimed at stabilizing the glacier and averting disaster. Dr. Erickson's discovery led to groundbreaking research and policy changes, hopefully averting the foretold disaster. "We're seeing unprecedented cooperation among nations," Sarah noted. Research grants were approved, conservation laws were enacted, and new technologies were developed to monitor and protect glaciers globally. "This is just the beginning," Erickson said. His eyes were filled with a mix of hope and determination. The mission to secure the future had only just begun, but the first steps had been taken.